Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market preparation video for August 13th, 2018. So, folks, we had kind of an interesting overnight. The Turkish lira continues to fluctuate dramatically. It dropped sharply during the night. Around midnight, Dow futures were pointing to about a 200-point gap down. Now, this morning, they have rallied back significantly because the lira has bounced back, and they're continuing to rally at this morning, at this moment, coming up really sharply from 200 points down to right now, as I record this, only about 30 points lower at the open. So watch for some volatility. We could see some significant volatility if that lira continues to move around sharply in the issues that could possibly result from that. So watch that closely. That uncertainty is obviously created a little bit of volatility in the market, and we should be prepared for that volatility. Please keep in mind that futures having moved down that sharply overnight, it is entirely possible that futures could retest that level during the day. So watch price action closely, be really careful, and pay attention to what's going on in the market. If we take a look at the SPY here, you can see the SPY on Friday closed right here on my trend line. Now, you could draw this trend line certainly differently than I have drawn it. There's nothing magic about how I drew that. But let's note that we have, at least at this point, gapped down and possibly failed at this all-time high breakout in the SPY. Now, that failure doesn't mean that it's permanent by any means. As long as the bulls show a willingness to defend and hold on to price supports, there's certainly plenty of chances that we could move higher to test these all-time highs. And it would appear that the bulls right now want to see that happen as they have rallied back so sharply overnight. They're not wanting to give this up today. So kind of keep that in mind. But let's also keep in mind that U.S. banks, just like all banks around the world, well, not all banks, but many of the big international banks around the world are suffering a little bit of concern because they hold significant amounts of debt from Turkey. So as that currency fluctuates around, there will be pressure on the U.S. banks. So watch that close. If we take a look at the Dow, the diamonds are not in quite as good a position, at least as I have drawn the trend lines. You can see we rallied up here. We were staying up nicely above this trend, and then we broke the trend and we rallied up here and tested the underneath side. Now we have confirmed a failure of that resistance, at least at this moment. And as you can see, there's nothing out here. We're kind of floating here in mid-air at the moment. So there's no reason to get terribly panicked, because what we want to do is we want to watch this closely. A failure of a new high now at this point would be of critical importance. So breaking down here, a rally back that cannot get up through there, a lower high failure, would be certainly very critical for the market. So we need to see those bulls really step in here, defend this area, and push to break us back above. We need some fight in those bulls right now. We don't need to see them shy away from it, because that will embolden those bears, and we could see some troubles from that. Let's take a look at the Qs. Now, the Qs in the IWM should have the least impact to fluctuations in currency. So keep an eye on that. The Qs could serve as the strongest of the indexes, and here we are. We've lost that attempt up here to break through this all-time high, at least at the moment. Now we need to see those bulls step back in here and push us back higher, because we still have an opportunity to break through. Now, don't be surprised. I've drawn another trend line on here, and we've had this low here and a higher low. So don't be surprised if this has to fluctuate around in here for a while. It may move all the way back over to the trend before this really pops out. So don't be surprised if we don't just race right up there and attack that high right away, particularly with the uncertainty going on with the Turkish lira. Let's take a look at IWM. Now, IWM has the least exposure to anything currency-wise, and so it's struggling here as well. As I've drawn this new trend line, as you can see, the trend, we've done the same thing that we did there in the Dow. We broke down through that. Now we've rallied back up here to test it as resistance. And so far, we've been unable to really break through up here. That doesn't mean that we can't. There's certainly nothing here that's terribly bearish in IWM. As a matter of fact, we've recovered this support level. So as long as we hold up in here, we're doing okay on IWM, and one that could definitely help in you know, kind of bolstering those bulls for that attempted run to that new high. So watch that closely. If we take a look at the VIX, we saw a sharp bump in fear on Friday. With the problems over there with the lira. And you can see we bumped up here significantly. We're still below significant levels of resistance, however. That's a good sign. We just don't want to see that fear continue to rise. We have, well, obviously the fear can really get out of control really quickly. And I don't see that occurring right now, but we will want to keep an eye on it. And also, you know, for option traders, as the VIX rises, as fear kind of creeps in, we know that implied volatility rises, and that does affect our option prices. So keep that in mind. Let's take a look at T21. 22. T21-22, the 4-week new high, new low ratio. And there's nothing in the 4-week new high, new low ratio that is really giving us a lot of clues, other than we are pushing back down. You can see we've had just some issues in here with a lot of volatility, kind of, you know, giving us a bit of a wedge pattern here on this, but there's really nothing we can read from that too terrible much, other than we do have plenty of room still to move lower. And fluctuation back up, we have lots of potential upside room as well. So lots of fluctuating around has been going on here without a lot of direction. What I'm worried about is that we may be starting to see a little bit of you know, the breadth of the market kind of waning here a little bit. So keep an eye on this. Let's hope those bulls step in and really start to pick that up and give us some better clues than we've got right now. If not, those bears could easily push us down into here. So watch that. Let's take a look at the earnings calendar today. Economic calendar today. There's really nothing here to move us around today, just bond auctions and bond announcements, so no market moving events here today. We do have a significant number of earnings reports this morning. They've been coming in pretty quickly, and that could also be providing us a little bit of bullish help in the market as those earnings reports continue to come in. Today and tomorrow, we have, today and tomorrow we have pretty sizable numbers of earnings reports. Over 140 companies reporting today, nearly 240 companies reporting tomorrow. But then after that, earnings season really begins to die off sharply. But that doesn't mean we can relax and not check earnings reports against our current positions or positions we are thinking of buying. So kind of keep that in mind as we start to wind down this earnings season. Everyone, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great profits. And if this is the first time you've seen these videos, do me a favor. Click that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow me button on Facebook. Click those thumbs up buttons. I really do appreciate that. And drop a comment. Also, always feel free to share this video with any friends, family that you might think could benefit from the information. Everyone, take care. Have an awesome, awesome day. We'll talk to you all bright and early Tuesday morning. Have a good one, everyone.